Hello everyone. In this opportunity, I'd like to talk about the standard and non-standard language and how is it implemented by the people as the speaker of language. The standard language, what is that? A standard language is an official form of language. This kind of language over time are always artificially improved, at least to some degree. Standard language is the way to use language in official and formal situations, as in a newspaper, theses, and public speeches. According to Romain in 2000, page 87, standard language is a highly codified variety of language which has been developed and elaborated for use across a broad range of functions. What is the idea of standard language? That is to codify a public, particularly written language, so that it is accessible to every speaker of language to be used in education, media, and science. In other words, the standard language is related to the things such as economic, political power, social status, and literacy. Is there any way to create a standard language? People may realize that there is yes, which is by promoting one dialect to certain position. What is the example of being promoted dialect? It is usually the dialect of the region that has been dominating. Let's say the dialect of the capital city. The other is the way language used among the upper class. A non-standard language. What is that? A non-standard language is the unofficial form of language which is considered improper for writing and for using in public officially. So the language cannot be expected to be used in formal situations as in newspaper and thesis. Like any language, a non-standard language may have an internally balanced system of vocabularies, accent, register, and grammar, but it doesn't have the institutional support or sanction that a standard dialect has. The standard of Bahasa Indonesia. The attempt of standardizing Bahasa Indonesia or Indonesian language has been in effect for a long time. Back in 1972, it was the first time Bahasa Indonesia implemented by the Presidential Decree number 52 of 1972 and the decree of the Minister of Education and Culture on 12 October 1972 number 0156 slash P forward slash 1972. To promote the standardization of Indonesian language, the general guidelines for improved Indonesian spelling and general guidelines for the formation of terms published by the Ministry of Education and Culture in 1975. Then in 1998, the Big Indonesia Dictionary and Indonesian Standard Grammar book were published again. The four books since then can be used as a reference of guidelines for the formation for the use of the standard Indonesian. Here is the brief explanation of the standardizing Bahasa Indonesia. If we already have one the language to be used as a standard variant, then the standardization must be carried out out of all levels, whether phonological, morphological, synthetic, lexicon, or semantic. Bahasa Indonesia phonemes have been officially determined based on ejaan yang disempurnakan or the enhanced spelling, but those related to pronunciation have never been standardized. According to the consensus, anybody has to speak Indonesian with standard pronunciation if they do not show the characteristic of the regional language. With the standard pronunciation, anybody are not known linguistically where they are from. In short, it can be said when Bahasa Indonesia standardized, people are not influenced by the other language they control. The example of the enhanced spelling system, it is used by TVRI and RRI broadcaster in Indonesia. Here is the example of the standard and non-standard Bahasa Indonesia. As we can see here, there is a standard and non-standard. We can see one of the example is atap. In non-standard, it's called atap. Kalau in standard, but in non-standard is kalau, and so on and so on. We have taken a look and briefly discussing the standard and non-standard Bahasa Indonesia. Now, how was Bahasa Indonesia actually formed and used by Indonesians up to now? At first, we need to know the term of Indonesia. The name Indonesia appeared and was introduced by James Richardson Logan, a Scottish lawyer and editor in 1850 in the Journal of Indian Archipelago and Eastern Asia. Indonesia introduced to refer to the Indian island, which at the time was a Dutch colony, so it was called the Dutch East Indies. The name Indonesia is originally from the Greek and Latin language, which are Indian and Nessos, which means the Indian archipelago or island. Bahasa Indonesia was born to coincide with the Youth Pledge Congress on October 28 by 1928. This Youth Congress was the efforts of the youth from several local organizations that initially promoted the idea of united Indonesia. Their ideas are Indonesian dream of independence from the colonialist the Dutch. This Congress discussed three pledges. The first, we, the son and the daughter of Indonesia, acknowledge one motherland, Indonesia. We, the sons and daughters of Indonesia, acknowledge to be one nation, the nation of Indonesia. And the last, we, the sons and daughters of Indonesia, uphold the language of unity, Bahasa Indonesia. Why was Malay language chosen as the basis of Indonesia? Bahasa Indonesia comes from the Malay language, namely High Malay or Malacca Riau. Malay language as lingua franca or language instruction, sociolinguist in the archipelago for a long time. Since the era of Sriwijaya Kingdom, the Malay language was used as the language of trade. At the time, The archipelago people, at the time, the archipelago people were familiar with the Malay language. Therefore, Malay was a language that could be understood and used by people from various tribes with different mother tongues. Then the reason is Malay has a practical and simple language system. Malay is different from the other languages in Indonesia based on its structure. Malay language doesn't have a level in its use or not based on social status. For example, in Japanese or Sundanese, there are several uses of words that need to be adapted to people's age or situation to whom we are speaking, whereas in Malay, there is no such idea used. The other reason is political necessity. Because in Indonesia, there are many different languages and it is not possible to overcome these differences if one of the hundreds of native languages chosen. In this case, choosing Malay is the right decision because this language has been used as a trade language and has also been understood by people in various regions in the archipelago. So that is all from me. I would like to say thank you for everyone. Thank you for this time that given me the opportunity. Thank you once again.